somebody who will listen, that we will have people who will get the job done. Now, if you want to be reelected, you got to be accountable. What have you done for me lately? That accountability requires some knowledge. We need to know, how does politics work? That if he requires this amount of vote from this area, then we need to be talking about that now. If he needs lower third vote, or if he needs whatever area vote to be reelected, then we need to, when we make the meeting, say, you know what, we're not going to vote for you next time because. And let him know that we are not so ignorant that you can treat us like this now and expect us to come and support you again. That's the kind of leverage. When people say, well, what can we do? We're powerless. You are not powerless.
Jay, let me tell you something. If any of the 5 African-American city council members had $12 million they were going to put in their pocket that belonged to the citizens of Alexandria, everybody in this country could understand it. But it's amazing to me the inability of folks in Alexandria to understand, the mainstream media in particular, the idea of any money going into the mayor's personal pocket that belongs to all of us who have paid these high, ungodly utility bills. It's unbelievable to me. So all you gotta do is turn that thing around.
You know, running the city is a big deal. So I'm not putting my finger, you know, on the mayor. Or I'm not putting my finger on the procurement office. I'm not putting my finger just on Mr. Despino or something like that. Because first of all, you know, change has to come from the top, and it has to be more than just the top person. It has to involve, you know, your city council, your economic development division, your procurement officer, you know, everybody, you know, even the Gator people, you know, everybody have to have one heart, one idea, one mind, one spirit, and one determination to make it work for everybody. I still feel I'm servicing people because the work I do is for poor people. You know, it's for the elderly. I never thought that's what I wanted to do as a contractor, but I'm not gonna lie, it gives me joy. Every time I see an old person's face light up because I've made her home more livable. I've made it decent. I've made it sanitary. I've made it better for her. She's happy and I have joy. You know, I love doing the work. The affordable housing project that I did. I cannot tell you, you know, what that has done for me. That people who work hard every day of their lives, who would never be able to afford a house that costs $150,000, $60,000, we were able to assist them to get this. And they have a note that they can afford. That they don't ever have to worry about being put out of their own house. They don't ever have to worry about what you call landlord not keeping up the house they live in. They have their own house now.
Yes, well, we moved in this area back in the early 1970s. And in this area, we found a elementary school down in the Acadian Village. The streets are pretty much made out of what they was made out of then. The community had 2 or 3 stores in it, local neighborhood stores, which still have the same 2 or 3 local neighborhood stores in it. We had a cattle auction barn right in the middle of the neighborhood and recently just closed. But other than that, that may be some improvement to the drainage and maybe to some of the streets, but for us, the homes and the community itself is still in the same condition it was.
Let's look at Fast Track. Fast Track over there in the other community. This is Fast Track in the 3rd District, Hudson Boulevard. As you see, we are in much needed help of repairs in the road. Roads are unsafe. Designed for 2 lanes, but only can be used by 1 lane. What do you see as the remedy to conquer the disparity gap between our various communities here in Alexandria?
You got to try to motivate the people to get out of these pretty churches on a Sunday and get them and let them know, look, I'm in this position. And they got this coming up and this bill coming up. Y'all gonna have to come out here with us. And this is what some of the things you got to be motivated to say, I don't want you coming in there saying anything. I want you to come in there with some specific and some objectives.
For us as a people to understand our strength is not always in the textbook. We've had Booker T. Washingtons and others who told us that's how you sharpen your sword. But the sword we already have, that's our heart. Look at the grandmothers that take grandchildren and start all over raising children. A lot of people can't do that. Look how we absorb our elderly into our household. Look how the mother takes on that third job to make sure that son can be on the basketball team or buy the tennis shoes that he needs to play. We already have the heart. We have to learn to value it. We are somebody too, therefore, my opinion matters, my feeling matters, and I need to know how to express this without anger. I should not have to raise my voice to get you to hear what I gotta say. But I do need to get the facts clear. And once I have the facts clear, I do need to share those facts with enough people that I don't stand alone. Because we are strongest in numbers. If I know something and I tell 5 people and they tell 5 people and we come forward as 50 people, even if they didn't want to hear us, they got to see us. And that's really what Martin Luther King did. He had a voice, and then he found the masses to go with him. And because they couldn't ignore those that walked with him, they had to hear what he had to say. So we need to act as a community. We need to visit each other. We need to talk about things. If you heard this, don't just go on rumor. Get the facts. And once you have the facts, accumulate the people that you need to be with you, people you trust, people who are community leaders, and go tell the people who need to make the change that you've come to have the change made.
And I think it's unconscionable that here in Alexandria, where you have almost a 50-50 city in terms of race, you know, you have a substantial number of small business and women-owned business, you know, as well as, you know, African-American businesses, and yet, you know, only 1% of the service contracts go to small business or minority businesses. It might be 1 in 10%, but that's still off. And we should not be proud of that. Even if it's 10%, we should not be proud of that. We should be working hard to make sure that 1% for minorities and 10% for small businesses should be more like 45%, 40%, something in that area. You know, and I'm not saying you should kick out everybody that's been doing business, because I recognize that's a part of what I perceive as the city's problem. They've been doing business with the same people year in, year out, forever. And they're comfortable with that. And any of us would be if we've worked with you for years and years and years and our relationship has been great. You know, you're comfortable. And fear of the unknown is not uncommon, okay? They fear bringing in new people. Situations are gonna change. Things are not gonna be the way they used to be. Well, duh, darn skippy it's not. But who said change is bad? Perhaps change could be better.
There's been a problem with implementation at City Hall. For instance, you have the Sugar House Road project. I'm not going to say it's the administration's fault why